Blog Talk Radio.
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your constitution while listening to this broadcast. 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live via the internet. It's time for Rage Against the Regime. Let's get ready to rumble! Finally, a show for patriots, defending the Constitution and uncovering the truth at every turn, bringing you exclusive interviews and covering the topics the mainstream media doesn't dare to touch. Call in and join the discussion at 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And now, here are your hosts, Bobby Who's the Man and Becky Williams. Rage Against the Regime.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
I have a voice with hopes that you're listening. Voice of America, I'm speaking from the citizens. Tired of the lies, all the false narratives. For us to survive, we must stand up as Americans. Need to alter the course that's been written. It's history, not his story. They mix it in with fiction. Behind the scene decisions, you're blind to see the visions. Freedom isn't free, society is prison. Fed up, I won't let up. There's no more room for mess up. The administration's a bit outrageous. I think it's time we step up. How about I check off the definition of evil? Pay millions to bomb countries, but can't feed our own people. These countries don't even pose threats. Can Congress or progress? Syria, no GMOs left. Rothschilds want their own checks. Pipelines to control next. How many more lives will drones get? It's 7 countries, 5 years destabilized. No sweat. I have a voice with hopes that you're listening. Voice of America, I'm speaking from the citizens. Political smokescreen, they're giving you nothing. No hope streams, I have children, where are they going? World War III, to grow up in that era is something that we don't want. The thought of that should scare you. Who cause and acts prepare you? No thought, just facts of flares up. False flag attacks won't spare you. They bury you, no care for you. The credibility's been gone.
Hey, Bobby. What's up, my brother? Intro.
Yo, that's PTP. Yes. PTP in the house. Anybody that doesn't know, PTP, Powered Through People, who happened to be on our show roughly about 2 weeks ago, his website is up and running. At the time that he came on the show, his website was not up. Something happened. I guess the Fed took it down or whatever, but now it is up and running. I highly recommend anybody to go to the page. It is P like Paul, T like Tom, P like Paul. So PTP is here. Okay? PTPishere.com. Highly recommend it. Lots of good information on there, lots of good stuff. Vinny is doing his thing, and hopefully he gets some fame and popularity out of it. I want to welcome everybody to Rage Against the Regime. It's been a crazy weekend, lots and lots of stuff going on, lots of information for us to drop knowledge on you guys. Today we are expecting Mr. Tom Luju to join us. Tom will be Tom's in a meeting, and he's not exactly sure what time he's going to be able to get on with us, and he's not sure how long he's going to be able to get on with us, but he is definitely going to be able to get on with us, and hopefully for about an hour. But next week, he will be joining us for a full show. We don't know if it's going to be Monday or Tuesday, but Tom will be joining us. So, a lot to get to, little time to get to it in. I was talking about this earlier. Breitbart has announced earlier that Russia has been flying around where the hell were they? They were somewhere in Europe. I think it was in the UK or somewhere. And they were flying around and they had nuclear weapons or a nuclear bomb on the plane. Okay.
Wow.
I read the information on. Let's see. His is. I think it's actually 330 or 303. One or the other. But they were flying around out there in. Here, let me actually bring up the right information so I'm giving you the right information. Breitbart, though, who I take to whenever they release information, they're pretty good with it, and you can pretty much take whatever they're telling you to the bank for the most part. Let's see here. This is what they reported the other day. It says a Russian bomber was over the channel in here it is in UK. So it says tensions between Russia and the UK have heightened after it was revealed that the Russian bomber intercepted by RAF fighter jets was carrying a nuclear missile designed to destroy Trident submarines. The Tu-95 aircraft was spotted on long-range radar flying down from Scotland towards the English Channel, where they were close to entering British airspace, the Sunday Express reported. So, there's a whole story here, but, I mean, that's some pretty serious crap. You hear me? Okay, I guess I lost Becky. Well, anyway.
Dude, I'm sorry. Hey, listen. British airspace is pretty scary, bud.
I'm
you
sorry?
know what I mean? I said, you said that they entered British airspace or they were close to it?
Yeah, they had a nuclear missile that was prone to take out submarines.
I had you on mute. I apologize. I was just yapping, and you couldn't hear a word I was saying. It was kind of like being deaf or something. I'm sorry. Wow. Yeah, it was crazy. They've that coupled with what China did when they buzzed our aircraft carrier back in the summer. They did the same thing. I don't know that they were nuked, but I know that they buzzed it with their belly showing weapons armed, and that is actually a declaration of war. They're flexing muscles over there, buddy. This is not good.
No, it's not good at all. And, it's going to be one of those things, but they're testing everybody, okay? Right now, that's what's going on. They're testing everybody. So, let's see what happens here in the next couple of days. Now, everybody knows they've been buzzing around our coast for a long time now. Okay? They're testing us to find out who's going to do what, who's going to make the first move. Because in all actuality, they can say, hey, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were just trying to see if our plane could go long range, or, if this, if that. There's a million excuses they could use, and they would be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
So they're probably just waiting for somebody to jump the gun so somebody reacts so they can react, and you know what their reaction's going to be. I mean, I don't know. I've heard just way too many people say too many different things about all this. And I really don't know what to think about it right now. I mean, a lot of people say Obama's in bed with them, and they're in bed together, and this and that. That could very possibly be true, but we don't know that. We don't know if Putin is in bed with Obama. Okay, So we can't just jump the gun and go, hey, I think that they're in bed together, whatever. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, this is there's a lot going on, with the situation at hand that's pretty scary. I mean, we know we've had a big push in the Levant, like you mentioned the other day, with the Syrian rebels. I got really angry today. I was watching Christian TV programs, CBN, and they do like world news. They'll do world news clips, and the reporter comes on and he goes, the Muslims attacked a Christian school in Pakistan. They did this, they did that, a lot of destruction. And then the reporter, actually goes like this. He goes, and it was because of the Charlie, what's his name? The terrible newspaper making fun of.
Oh yeah. I can't remember, but I know. Yeah, everybody knows who you're talking about.
Yeah, and he goes, the reporter goes, and supposedly this is why the Muslims attacked this Christian school in Pakistan, killing 20 students today. No, bullshit. Even the Christian TV channels are not telling the truth. That was done because in the Quran, it tells them, kill the infidel, and a Coptic Christian must die, and that is a heavily populated Muslim country. But at the end of the day, everybody's flexing muscles. You got China doing that. You got Korea flexing again. What is that? North Korea, Kim Jong or whatever his name is, and then you got whatever. And then you got Russia doing what they're doing, and all our soldiers. I mean, we have so many soldiers deployed to so many regions out of the country. It makes me worry for our own sake. You know what I mean? The decommissioning of the warships that Obama has done, the decimation of our military, moving top brass at an escalated rate, cutting back on the weapons, taking down our missile and radar system off the West Coast. It's probably removed it 3 years ago. I mean, this is very concerning to me, Bobby.
Yeah.
Hey, on another note, they're doing, we had 3 more earthquakes in Texas yesterday, up around my area. They said that it was from all the fracking. That was determined by geologists like months ago. And now a new study by the SMU, Southern Methodist University here in Dallas, now they're refuting that. They're saying that's not the truth. And they've dropped new equipment to replace the antiquated equipment. Seismologists are out here doing this. Have you heard anything else about activity?
Not so much. Not really so much.
Okay.
I mean, most of the stuff that I've been trying to keep up with is a lot of the stuff that's going on in North Dakota right now with the financial losses that they're predicting, because of the oil plunging, and then of course all the Yellowstone stuff that's going on, and weather in other areas, and then pretty much stuff like that.
Hey, you know what? We have got right now, speaking of the oil and gas issue, we have got the worst strike of oil field workers since 1980. Now, the folks that have been around for a while and weren't little babies back in 1980 understand what this means. We had lines of gas pumps, we had gas shortage, and I know that we import a lot of fuel, Bobby, a lot of oil. I do know that, but this is by design that they drop the gas like that. Now workers go on strike, the oil field workers, at the end of the day, that trickles over to the dock. So everybody's unionized. I think we're about to see a huge collapse in the American dollar. I think this might be the beginning of the tumble, the financial crumble that we've been expecting to come for the last 8 months.
Well, this is what they're reporting in North Dakota. North Dakota is expecting a $5.5 billion loss in revenue because of the oil plunging right now. Okay?
Oh, wow.
That's what they're expecting there. North Dakota is expecting $5.5 billion in loss in revenue because of the oil. Now, take a look at all your grocers and all your food places and everything else. Right now, the prices have been crazy on food and milk and all this other stuff. I mean, the prices have been going up and down like crazy. Now, with all this stuff that's going on, I was talking about this earlier I was talking to somebody about this earlier. Not talking on somebody. I was talking to somebody about this earlier. And what the conversation that we had was, here, take for instance, yesterday we got, I think they said that we got 19 inches of snow here in Chicago yesterday. I think it was something like that. It might have been even a little bit more. I think we got about 2 feet. Okay? Everybody yesterday, because we hadn't had snow all year, okay, everything was all messed up. All the roads were terrible. There was no plowing anywhere on any road. It was nasty. It was unbelievably bad. Okay? So with that being like that, okay, and then people trying to drive on the roads and then the snow coming down and everything else, I mean, that was just a little snowfall. Can you imagine if something big hit like that? Wow. Unbelievable. And people were complaining, whatever. It's, the snow, the this, the that, and they can't get out anywhere or anything. Imagine if a major catastrophe comes and hits, and say that the trucks can't get to the grocery stores or whatever, and then we have a real bad snowfall at the same time. Okay? Can you imagine that? Where, say we get hit with a volcanic, say the volcano goes off right now. Okay? That, the temperature's going to change, and, it's going to be like a 20-degree difference. Then all of a sudden, say it snows or something like that, and it's really cold, and, we got 2 things going on at one time, and, the trucks just can't get to the stores. They can't make the deliveries on time like they were supposed to, so on and so forth. Do you have any idea what kind of craziness that would bring? Wow.
I'll tell you what's really interesting. They're not just striking. That is if I'm not mistaken, let me go back here. I think that union is the United Steelworkers Union. And they were employees that put into refineries, terminals, and pipelines, and chemical plants. And 10% of that shut down on Sunday. So it wasn't just the oil field workers. You're talking about welders and the guys that run the terminal and the chemical plants. We're talking about a huge hit. So it's not just going to disrupt 64% of our fuel output. It's going to be much broader, like you said. But one of the things that they're bitching about before they come back to the table is they're asking for their employers to give them pay increases because of the fatigue measures and, the overtime and things that they're doing. They want their company to step up and absorb some of that health costs or benefits to the workers. They're paying too much for the deductible premiums now. So we're seeing what we're seeing here is more than one issue. We're Obamacare into 21, illegal taxation, imposition of an imposed tax on people by the government has set up the insurance system so bad that the choices that are being made by the large corporations are still very costly, and they're passing them on to their employees. So these union workers are pissed. They're angry. They want an increase in their wages. They want to be compensated for their time. And it's my understanding that they were being told they had to work more hours. So there's a lot of different things going on. And you're right. Some of it affects the grocery store, the cost at the grocery store that you're paying for your food products. I mean, it's a trickle-down effect. That's what I'm saying. I think we may be looking at major disaster financially here. Not to mention what it's going to do to the stock market.
Right. Well, I don't know. It's so hard to even think about any of this crap that's going on right now. Because I'm sitting here. I was taking notes earlier to all the things that are going on. And right now, and actually what I did is I wrote everything down that's going on. Okay. Then what I did is I kind of chose for myself what do I feel is true and what do I feel is false. Then whatever I found to be on the true list, I started putting them in order by what would be the worst one out of the group and then start breaking it down from there. Okay, the list is long. We know this. Okay, but the way that I did it, what's going to affect the most people? Okay? Everybody knows the major one would be if a catastrophe happened, any kind of natural disaster, Mother Nature, a volcano going off, anything like that, the grid going down, whatever. Then I went down one, the government, these goofy, the goofy Muslims and stuff like that, if they actually took over or anything like that, what kind of craziness that would be. If we got attacked by another country. I mean, I put it all and wrote it all down on paper. And, if we even tried to come up with an infrastructure to try to design to fix all this stuff, the only one that we could ever leave out would be the natural disaster. Like if, a tornado, not tornadoes, if earthquakes went off and then, it caused a volcano, there's really nothing that we can do about that, and we all know this. And, how do you prepare for something that you don't even know is coming? Okay, you can only make little preparations here and there, get water, get canned goods, whatever. What it boils down to, though, is nobody ever knows. I mean, even take, for instance, say the government knew, how much of a notice do you think that they really have? If a volcano was going to go off. They don't have very much of a notice. So how much of a notice are they going to give you? Even less. You know what I mean? So take, for instance, they knew 5 days in advance. They're going to try to figure out 2 days of preparing for themselves without even telling us about it. So then we may have like a 2 or 3 day notice in between there. And it's like, okay, so how do you prepare yourself, your friends, your family, and everything for that? And take, for instance, say everybody gets on the road and starts moving. Okay, this area is supposed to be good, and, maybe the East Coast won't be affected as bad, as the West Coast will be or whatever. And then what kind of craziness is that going to create in states and stuff like that? I mean, it's crazy to sit here and think about this type of stuff. See, your regular, average, everyday citizen and average, everyday American doesn't do the kind of thinking that we do. And you say it all the time, I say it all the time. There's a lot of stuff that I wish I didn't know.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I wish that I never have learned or found out or anything else. And trying to share it with people that, that think that we should be wearing aluminum hats and, you know, and aluminum foil and walking around and whatever. And, you know, to me, it's like, how do you wake all these people up? None of them, you know, they don't believe anything, and especially when it comes to, you know, things that are going to happen. I mean, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, it may not be in 2 weeks like they're trying to say that it's going to be, you know, going by the video that was released. But, you know, it may not be that amount of time, but it's going to happen. I mean, it's happened throughout history, you know, forever and ever and ever, or so they say. See, now, somebody told me something the other day that made a lot of sense, that made me think. Okay, take, for instance, them walking on the moon. Just because they said that they walked on the moon, and we all think in our minds that they walked on the moon, and because they have a video of it, we all think that they walked on the moon, right? Well, they supposedly did not walk on the moon. So how do we know 600 and whatever years ago that there really was some kind of major, you know, major volcano and stuff that wiped out the dinosaurs and wiped out history? How do we know that that's true? Just because they say it?
Yeah,
we don't. But there is active volcanoes, and we've seen what they can do and everything else here. You know, Mount St. Helens, you know, any other volcano that you want to think of, but I'm just going to use Mount St. Helens because that would be probably the freshest in everybody's minds.
In the U.S.,
but I mean,
yeah, that's the last one. Besides what happened, you know, with Korea.
Well, somebody said to me the other day, how do you know that's not a scare tactic? How do you know that's not something that, you know, they're just saying to scare people? I mean, that would be another reason, you know, if the government said, hey, you know what, you know that big volcano's coming at Yellowstone and you're within a danger zone. Here, we're going to move you and your family out, and we're going to move them this way, and we'll bring them to a camp where we can guarantee that you guys will all be safe because you'll be a far enough distance away. You know what I mean? Who's not going to go?
Well, yeah. I mean, coupled with the Agenda 21 and taking over the national parks and the forests, and you never know. I'd not thought of it that way, but you could be onto something there, brother. Really.
Right.
You know? A number of things. I mean, even the videos with the bison running and the wildlife running, a number of things can cause that. It could be wildfire. We know we've had a lot of wildfires, and they're just taking video of them running to get away because animals instinctively know to run the opposite direction.
Well, the thing about that, though, a lot of people don't realize that bison go from one side of the park to the other when the weather changes.
Yeah,
but usually they don't go outside of the park. This time on video, they're outside of the park, and there's about 100 of them running out. Well, not running, they're walking out, but they're still leaving the park.
Well, there could be reasons for that. I mean, animals instinctively know before we do when something's going to occur. But at the rate that, you know, I mean, hell, it could be anything from, you know, them doing something at the park that disturbed the bison and they felt endangered and ready to get. I mean, we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. And there's so much misinformation out there. So much propaganda that is put forth in order to instill fear or distract away from what's truly taking place. The hell we don't. I mean, I know here on Racist Regime, we tried desperately to give out fruit and things that we research so that we don't inform the public. But it's going to happen from time to time because there's so much out there, whether it's by call-in or guest or whatever, you know. We can only assume that what you and I are doing is factual based on cross-reference, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have any idea what time Tom may be joining us? He's not on the board yet.
Do I what?
have any idea of when Tom is supposed to join us today? I do not see him on the board yet. Did he give you a time when he thought he might pop in?
He kind of made it seem like it would be pretty close to the last hour. But I did ask him to send me a text message when he was getting closer. He might have had an idea, and when he might be coming on or whatever. So
okay,
I'm thinking it's going to be closer to the second half of the show.
Well, I'm going to bring up a couple of things that are of interest to me personally that I haven't gone over with you, but has to do with things that are going on globally. We sat and we watched our DOJ orchestrate a very destructive behavior amongst the black community across the country that wound up costing police officers their life, destroying families' lives, essentially, murdering policemen, destroying businesses, a huge attack on Mighty. We've seen that since Trayvon, that the DOJ and even law enforcement have chosen to ignore. Statistics not fairly adjusted and publicly announced when people of other colors are mistreated or abused by the police force out there. Not all cops are bad. First of all, I want to say that across the board. I know some who are actually doing the job because they truly want to serve and protect the community. And the only ones that are made a target are the ones that make the target on their own forehead by actions of their own that cause issue, evading arrest or assault on a police officer or whatever. Those incidents, those things do take place. And if the media were to broadcast those videos and broadcast the good that police officers do, because they manipulate the mind by all the bad things. That's all they report on. It's drama, bad. Very seldom do we get a feel-good story that comes out of the news, and usually there's some kind of political crap attached to it. But anyway, a friend of mine in South Africa, a very good friend of mine, good Christian lady, sent me an article about the white genocide that they're experiencing there in the Africas. They're being made to live in these shanty towns or these village environment in cardboard boxes. And the article explained very much about what's going on, and I'm starting to see some of that spill over into America. And we've seen the attack on the whites by the Muslims and the blacks, the Nigerians and others that have influxed the UK. And we've seen this time and time again on video and through news clips that the EDL send to me personally because I'm friends with a lot of the people over there that are in the EDL. And then we saw what happened in France where they're beating the white people in France. So we're seeing across the board a real surge to eliminate European descent. And governments are allowing this to happen. And in our instance, we have a government who is propagating that. So with that said, I have a lot of concern. And I want folks to understand that when you speak up and you're proud of who you are, your heritage, all ethnic backgrounds should be allowed to claim pride in where they came from and their heritage. And no one should be oppressed from that. So I want people to quit saying that we are racist if we say this thing or that thing. Political correctness is causing genocide across the world is what I'm trying to say. When you witness any injustice on any group, you certainly should step up to the plate and take action, not just bitch about it, but take action. Get involved and see what you can do to help the homeless people in your area. I don't want to see what's going on in the Africas happening here in America, but it looks like we're headed that direction. We talked a little bit about how in a predominantly white area of the city, they can build new houses and then they want to integrate a mix of people in a certain area. So if you're a certain ethnic background, Hispanic, immigrant, black, whatever, they're paying, as much as 30% less for that same exact house next door to the home that somebody else just got raped on by the bank at a higher interest rate and a higher cost for that home in order to integrate the neighborhoods. Well, in this article that I read from South Africa, what is going on in pushing them into these impoverished camps, and they're called white camps. They actually have named them that. There was an influx of these folks, these poor people who came from the rural area, the village areas, by way of the democratic government that has been established. And by the way, Obama's supposed brother is part of this genocide that's taking place over there because he's a big leader in the Muslim and the black community. And they actually have a black empowerment, I can't remember what the last word was, but its acronym is BEE. And what they did is they had families, say a white family was renting a home. The landlord actually booted them out in the street because they got a better deal offered to them from the government to move these villagers into the city. So what happened is they started taking the jobs, and this is where you can see the relevance that I'm getting to. These immigrants started taking these jobs away from the whites by way of what's called affirmative action. So they denied one ethnicity place in the workforce and gave it to another ethnicity based on their background, which started causing problems with those people being able to feed their families. Then what they did is they are taking the homestead, if you will, they take the house away from the renter of a white family, kick them out in the street, send them out into the outskirts of the town to these shanty towns, these little camps, and they take this one unit that maybe 4 or 5 people were living in, and they break it down into spaces where just a twin bed will fit, and they literally are putting 20 to 50, in some instances, depending on how big the property is, 100 people in a place that was occupied by 5 to 15, and they're charging them rent, which the government is giving them a supplement. Sound like Section 8 housing to you? Of course it does. And we're seeing that the whites are being moved out, and then they're coming in, the Muslim thugs, these jihad groups, Boko Haram and some of those are coming in the back door of these unsheltered children who are dying from disease and dying from hunger, and they're slaughtering these people in these white camps. But the media is not giving the story, either internationally or locally, even in South Africa. So we're seeing some real tragic things that are happening that are not being addressed. And I would engage anyone listening to the show today to do some research on that. And I think you're going to be devastated. But I'm seeing how that article spoke on how it was turned around there in Africa, and these things are starting to take place, taking away their farms and their businesses and their ability to work. And it's only the white people that are being targeted like that. We see that here with the entitlement programs for the immigrants and for the influx that's come through that border, and for the black folks for generations. Our government has tried to keep them down by truly making them believe that we, the white people, are oppressing them, when in fact the government is using them as a tool and keeping them at an impoverished level. A large majority of the black population living in government housing, more so them and the Hispanics than any other ethnicity. And then they now give them the supplements, and now they have the affirmative action. And, you know, John's pushed out of the job because Jamal is black. John has qualifications, Jamal doesn't. But the incentive that's given to the business by the government ensures the influx to change the environment in the workforce. And we need to balance that out. We need to address that situation. All men are created equal, and we should all certainly have equal opportunity at prosperity, but we have to help our brothers and sisters across the board. I think we need to reach out so that the black community starts to understand but it's truly the government that has initiated this, and we need to help them rise above the government because we need them to be our allies, not our enemies in these end times, because we've got a big job ahead of us. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It was very interesting. It took a chord into today.
Right. Well, it's everything we have ahead of us right now is going to be a huge job. Well, you know what, though? One thing I do like, when Judge Reed said on Saturday, yes, I did listen. For anybody that said I probably didn't listen, Judge Reed said, how about the last Thursday of every month at 7 p.m., go down to your town hall or whatever, or, go
your
on
courthouse.
your courthouse, go anywhere and just go down there and everybody come together and go stand down there, and you know what? You're going to be noticed. There's no way you can't be noticed.
Meeting. Yeah, you're having a town hall meeting. Which is our right to do so. We can call city council meeting, but those assholes are all in the back pocket of ICLEI, who are a UN management company that comes in and takes over, and they're part of the Agenda 21 takeover. And we did a whole show on that. Remember ICLEI and municipalities and management, homeowner association, all that. So, yeah, and I agree with Judge Reed. That was a brilliant idea. Just have people start committing. And even if you just have a handful the first time, you should be able to double that the next Thursday that you meet,
Well, yeah, because people are going to drive by and go, who are those people? Why are they there? They're going to start asking questions, and somebody will go, oh, that's the group that got together that's the group that gets together the last Thursday of the month. And they meet down on the steps, and they have a little meeting about blah, blah. That's how it all begins. I mean, and then even like you said the other day, well, not the other day, but a couple times, why don't you make up a flyer, go hand them out, and tell people about whatever you're doing, and look and see how many people you might be able to get involved, that might want to have something to do with it with you. You might be pleasantly surprised who all may be the ones that may want to get involved with you. All you got to do is call out flyers and say, hey, this is a day, this is a time, this is a place. Okay? Then everybody else follows suit.
Yeah, that would be dedicating and taking action, which is something that I complain about continuously, is the inaction. But, yeah, that's a good way to do it, because I keep hearing repeatedly the most effective way we can break them down in Washington because of what we're up against. And they know that. That's why they're strong-arming us, and they're being so transparent with everything. The best way we can do it is start taking over our municipalities, booting ICLEI out, making our councilmen, holding them accountable, redressing them, and firing their asses. If they're not for the people, we need to fire them. I know in my own city we have a city councilman here that attacked the right to bear arms folks, and to the degree that he said we should all go kill ourselves. And he made that a public statement. And it turns out this asshole used to work for DHS and the federal government. And part of the big problem that we have here in the Arlington area is we have him and like-minded people sitting on our city council who are making no-go speech zones and trying to tell us where we can and can't bear arms. And, I mean, it's just ridiculous. He's the regular friggin' Gestapo, Well,
did you hear the information that just got released here recently? Terry sent it to me the other day, and I will let you know about it here in Illinois. Actually, Terry put it on my timeline. Hang on, let me pull it off.
Okay.
Something to do with, here, I got to go to my timeline. Terry posted on my timeline, hang on, my God, I don't want to misquote what was sent to me. Bring it up. For some reason, my phone is, like, super slow right now. Okay, and why the hell wasn't it there? Now that's weird. Oh, here it is. Muslim Brotherhood forms party in Chicago.
Oh, damn.
And then it says, surprise, Muslim Brotherhood is forming a party here in Chicago. The push is on here in our own backyard. This week, the Brotherhood met with the State Department. 2 days later, they issued a declaration of jihad, a sustained and uncompromising jihad with a charge for martyrdom and killing all Jews. Now we find out that Sabri Samria, who's a member of the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood, who was exiled from the United States after being investigated for a possible role in the terrorist attacks by Al-Qaeda on 9/11, was allowed to return last year and is using his return to organize an official political party, UMNA. And last but not least, guess whose picture and quote they used in the beginning as their centerpiece logo of their announced beginning? Barack Hussein Obama in his famous United Nations statement, "The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam."
Well, Chowdhury has been a thorn in the ass of the UK for many years now. He is a radical, and he should not be here. And much like I complained about Omar Carroll having a chapter for CARE, who has been deemed a terrorist organization, and they're the largest Islamic political organization in the country today, and it is run by terrorists, deemed a terrorist organization for funding terrorism, and they have been to the White House over 400 times since Obama's been in the office. Now, well, first of all, why the hell are they here? It's a terrorist organization, and why the hell was a unindicted co-conspirator to the 1993 bombings holding conventions all over the friggin' country, sponsored by Sound Vision, which is another confirmed terrorist funding organization? We're in trouble, people. We are in deep dookie.
You know what? Put me on hold. Go ahead and talk. I will be right back.
All right, brother.
Hello.
469 area code. Who have we got? 469. Let me open that line up. I guess 469 doesn't want to speak. We've got Wilbur. Hey, Wilbur.
Becky. How you doing, hon?
Sweetheart, if I got any better, you'd have to smear butter on me, because that'd just be better than homemade bread.
I believe it. I put up an article today called America Lost. I think I sent it to you. And I made innuendos. I put innuendos in there about the Muslims, but I didn't name them. And I put it up on outside sites. And then what I'm doing now is I'll put up a little quip or something, very mundane on Doc's channel, and then somewhere in the comments you'll see a link to WordPress. That's the real article.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to look at that. I didn't get a chance to finish it off today. I got sidetracked and really busy. I've got company coming in tonight from out of town, so, and this is per Tracy, my roommate. It's a friend of hers, and the house was a mess, so I got a little sidetracked, and then Natalie came in. She left work early. She's not feeling well, so I played Nurse Nightingale and Shift Hell. So I got sidetracked a bit today. Yeah, my days are busy.
How in the world do we get Muslim brotherhoods in America, and how in the world do known terrorists not get thrown out?
That's a really good question, especially when I have the government crawling up my ass with a periscope, a microscope, well, a periscope too, but, and all I'm doing is just calling truth and informing the people, I'm not killing anybody or inciting a riot or, trying to wage war. What I'm trying to do is get people to rise up, and in a way that we find a resolution and avoid a revolution. And we've got terrorists that are being brought in and have been heavily since 1973. And when you've got Chattery coming over here, he was exiled from our country. He was told he couldn't come back. And now, because Obama's in office and the DHS is run by the Muslim Brotherhood and the TSA and the FBI and the DOJ, and, you know, you name it, we got it, they're letting these to call jihad. Let me tell you something. I'm not a violent woman.
There's another thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
There's another thing. We're calling jihad. What is that? We're not only here we're not supposed to be. We're not only been exiled and we're back. We're going to declare war on you now. We're going to kill all the Jews. You know.
Well, I'm telling you. God, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Bruce. I'm just blown away by it. No, I'm just blown away by it. Go ahead. Speak it. Tell it.
Well, I got in trouble last week for saying I wanted to put lipstick on a goat. I mean, let's get real. That's all I said.
As God is my witness, as God is my witness, I'm going to get you a baby goat because you're local, right? You're local. Where are you at?
I'm down here in Colleen, Texas, right next to Fort Hood.
All right. See, now you're local to me because you're a Texan. I'm going to get a baby goat, and I'm going to put lipstick on it, and I'll bring it to you for your birthday.
Thank
so that
you
can take pictures
I'll
of
bet
it.
I'll give you 3 guesses what my birthday is, and I'm not lying.
When is your birthday?
9/11.
9/11, okay. On 9/11, I'm going to bring you a baby goat with lipstick so you can take pictures of it so you can make the Muslims jealous. Once you post it up for them, and they'll think that you got one of their women.
You know, I was going to make some jokes in that article about rubber boots, but I didn't think anybody would catch that. You got to be from Texas a long time ago to understand rubber boots.
I know, brother.
And Becky's not saying nothing because she knows about rubber boots.
I do. I know all about them rubber boots. I'll say it now. I'll say it loud and I'll say it proud. Hell, this is Texas, man. So tell us about your article, brother. Tell them about your article for me.
What now?
Tell them about your article this morning.
Oh, it was American law. It was actually a very intellectual article. I spent the weekend studying American history, and I came up with a conclusion. And it was the article is really elaborate, but the basic theory behind it is from the time of the Revolution forward, it's always been hard times in America. We've always had our backs against the wall, always having to survive some major bump in the road, and American ingenuity came up and fixed that. You needed to get stuff from the Great Lakes to the eastern seaboard, you dug the Erie Canal. You needed to bring cars down to the level where normal people couldn't afford them. You invent the assembly line. You know, you need to get water to Los Angeles. You dig a canal or an aqueduct all the way down to the whole state of California. Now, we've got a generation or two removed from those people, and the girl that's turning on the light at the wall, going into her kitchen, doesn't even remember that there was a day in Texas when a farmhouse would have one light bulb, and they were glad to have it. You know, or I said, when you're sitting in your Starbucks next time, I had a collector's item book from 1892. It was a cookbook. And in there was a coffee recipe, and it began with roast the coffee beans for 1 hour before grinding. Times have always known we've got hard times make hard people. Soft times make soft people. You know, with all in America, we can't afford all their huddled masses wanting to get paid anymore. And I tell them, your only chance is Texas. The only thing you got going left is Texas. Because we're just like one generation removed from farms, basically. This whole last 40 or 50 years has saw Texas development. We still have people living who remember that one light bulb. We still have people alive that know that. We're America's last chance. And there are hard, ignorant people, and I didn't name them, hard, ignorant people who are coming over here to destroy what we've made with their I call them anybody with a weird hippie religion, you know. We don't care who you are. We don't care what you do. We don't care how you pray. We don't care who you screw, as long as you screw them in your own house. But don't get up on the Capitol steps and start praying and babbling in some foreign language, because we do care about that. We do care about that.
Well, when they do that, they're claiming it as their own. That's what they're doing.
That's it.
So what we saw was an imam doing that 3 days before the Garland rally, and then 3 weeks later, they've already had another rally in Houston. They've already had another rally at the Capitol steps, and then we see them go in, and our congressmen and women go in specifically to meet their needs to consider them on Muslim Capital Day. For 11 years we've had that, and I didn't know about it. What the hell? So now you have to ask yourself, why has it become transparent?
Well, see, it slipped totally by me. Of course, I was in the courthouse here, but honestly hadn't been alerted or I'd have been there. And Molly White asking them to pledge allegiance to the nation, you know.
She knew why they were there.
She's nice. I would have asked them to kiss a pig myself. Yeah, I would have had a potbelly pig sitting right there with a bow on it, saying that's my pet.
Hell, I would have handed out free bacon croissants.
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And Becky, you've nailed it. You've nailed it. You've nailed it. You scream to the high heavens to these people. And one thing I said in the article, you had the generation that fought the revolution and the Civil War and went through the Industrial Revolution, and they saw all the bumps in the road. Then you have a generation removed from that have heard about the bumps in the road. Now you've got this generation that have never even seen a picture of the bumps in the road, and they don't care. And they don't know anything about history. I saw over the weekend, I was watching some stuff. They had a comedy show. It was comedy, but it was deadly serious the way they did it. They went out into the streets of Los Angeles, okay, on MLK Day. And they asked these people, and we're not talking about a bunch of junkies here. We're just talking about people on the street. They asked 14 people, what do you think about Dr. King's speech this morning at the rally? And every one of them gave a critique of his speech. One of them even said, do you think he's lost weight? Does he look better? Oh, yeah, he looks a lot better than he did last year. What do you think? And you ask him, now, what do you think Dr. King's main achievement in his lifetime has been? Well, it was the freeing of the slaves. Man, it's the God. And then you got the Muslims coming in on top of that. You know, these people don't know the difference between Jesus and Muhammad. They don't know the difference. Both of them had a beard.
Right.
You know, at least
I
assume Muhammad had a beard.
I'm back.
Hey, Bobby. I think we have Bill on the line, too. Brother Bill, is the
Bill.
line open for you?
Howdy, guys.
Hey, Bubs. I haven't seen you in a long time. Why did you quit me? You know I love you. Why did you quit me?
I would never quit you. I've just been really tied up and finding myself without enough hours in every day to get done what I need to do.
Brother, I feel your pain.
I've had to take some time to get some things in order. What's that?
Hey, tell us how it's going. Tell us how it's going, Bill. How's the show coming?
Well, we're still putting some things together. We had to step back a little bit and get some artwork together. We're dealing with some corporate people that I can't really name right now, and not corporate in the typical sense that it's fasciously tied to the rest of the problem that we contend with. In order to create what we actually want to do for some patriot unification and such. I'm speaking with some generals, retired, who are connected with active people and trying to get certain permissions for them to speak more freely and openly, so that when we launch that particular show, that we can provide something valuable that a lot of us speculate on and we talk about, and that we never get a verification from the horse's mouth. So we spent a little bit of time on that. We're just about ready to get that going. And with my ViraGuard, I've gotten into building my own site, and some of that science is pretty complicated, and for me it doesn't go as quickly as I would like, but I have to put it together in more depth than I've done before, so it's strapped me for time.
You know what, Bill, honestly, if I had to build a website, I'll just give you what it would look like. It would look like a 3-year-old being told to draw pictures of mom and dad, those little stick figures that actually look like a bark on the paper.
Yeah.
So I feel you,
right.
brother.
Well, see, I would just like to, look up with somebody listening and say, okay, this is what I want, and this is what I mean. Get back to me in 10 minutes. But unfortunately, it's not working out that way, and with the way I've committed my finances, I can't just sit somebody down outside of every other commitment of their life and say, here's enough money to do only this. So I'm having to do it myself as I take care of everything else, and it's been a bit of a drain. So I've gotten out of it some, but my positions are pretty much the same that you remember me as or with, and some of which you're talking about today. So I haven't died. I've only become ethereal in my spirit. I'm hovering amongst you, but not able to interact.
That happened to me before in a relationship, and it ended in a divorce. So you better be careful, boy.
Yeah. Hey, well, I haven't caught anything yet, so.
When you quit me, you better quit me. Hey,
I haven't even caught any flack yet.
Okay. Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Good. Thanks.
Kind of funny because I was actually, I planned on sending you that today or tomorrow because I had like 5 people send me money all today, and I was just kind of laughing about it.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
It's kind of like an all-at-once type thing.
Isn't it funny
that
how
never
those
happened.
Yeah, isn't it funny how on those particular days everything seems to be in a little bit better light?
Yeah.
Including our topic.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel as bad as things are getting, I think that Tom was just talking about when Becky brought me into the conversation. As bad as all those things are getting, I feel more hopeful about actually doing something about it. That's not to say that I think it's going to be a breeze, a cakewalk, no trouble. They're just going to say, okay, you got it, you can have your way again. But I just feel more positive that these things that are happening are what's going to actually enable us to resolve them because they're happening the way they are.
Right. Well, the way that I look at this, I was telling Becky earlier before, we started bringing callers on. It's a damn shame, all the things. I was telling her I did a list earlier on, the things that I find to be, the most dangerous, the most important, blah, blah, blah. I did 2 different lists. And the way that I broke the list down, it was kind of, it took me a long time to do today, okay? And, I wrote out all the things that are, that are kind of important and what we need to focus on right now and, and what's more important than the other. And then, what's ones that we can do something about right now and ones that we can't even do anything about, like, Mother Nature, earthquakes, volcanoes, stuff like that. Of course, that's something that we can never do anything about. We can make preparation, but, we can't do anything, once it comes, there's nothing that we can do about it. When it comes, you can be prepared for it the best that you can, but other than that, that's really about all you can do, But here, take for instance, stuff with the government, all that. I mean, that's stuff that we can actually do something about. Yeah. So I did this list today, and, the list is super long, okay? People would say, the list can't really be that long. The list is super long because if you put in all the things that we're going through right now, okay, and just and write out a detailed list, you're probably going to have about a good, 30, 40 things on there.
Or,
between
13 or
government,
14,000 things.
between government and we'll just say, things that people can get sick from, like viruses, and then, whatever, NATO, whatever. Just start naming a bunch of different things. And that list is going to be a huge list. But when you break it down, okay, and you figure out which ones are the ones that you could do something about and the other ones that you can't do anything about, I think the main one that comes up that we can't do anything about would be anything to do with Mother Nature, like Yellowstone National Park or, any kind of earthquakes, volcanoes, anything like that. And that's probably one of the most scary ones out of all of them,
Yeah. The funny thing, though, about that, unless it's an an extinction level event, or even a catastrophic event to the magnitude of let's say, Yellowstone glowing, or something like that. Aside from that, I don't know what that background noise is, but it's really loud.
You don't know what
the background noise is, but it was really loud. Aside from an event like that, most of these disasters that you mentioned, the consequence of them, like a terrible earthquake, other natural disasters that you've mentioned, severe freezing, droughts, and all of that stuff, the severity of them is only because of the limitations that have been put on us with our technology available. They talk about geoengineering. That's not an approach, especially when you consider that you're dealing with the engine of a planet itself that's connected to our solar system. That's not what we need to look at. What we need to do is utilize the available technology to sustain these types of things. If we built material that could stand up to large earthquakes, we had an infrastructure that didn't require electricity to be on a grid, we wouldn't have to worry about these types of breakdowns. And if we utilize our water resources properly instead of having them purposely constrained against us, we wouldn't have the problem with water or even freshwater sources. So the problem when you name your list off about all of these things to contend with, minus Mother Nature, of course, if you look at that one step further, you look at, okay, how many of those problems would actually be resolved if we resolved the restoration of our constitutional republic and removed the parasites that have put us in this disastrous pigsty mess that we're in right now? The ones that have limited us so severely that, in essence, they've removed America from America. If we got rid of that problem and we resolved that, how many of those other items on that list of things that we're all worried about, major concerns, rightful ones, given NATO, immigration, these threats, all these things, how many of those things would actually go away? That's inclusive with our technology, the ability to create the means to survive circumstances and disasters.
That's pretty much what I was doing. That's exactly what I was doing. And you'd be surprised the number.
It's amazing, right? We would be left with
very amazing.
We would be left with very little, and if we exercise constitutionally properly, one of the few things we would be left with, we would just learn to live with. And that's the differences and preferences that people have. But as long as they didn't impose on us and we learned to just thrive, we wouldn't be bothered by those things anymore.
Exactly.
It's just our bickering and our petty little differences is all we have left to fight about, since we don't have any control over our country anymore. Right. But we're not exercising that control, is what I should say, because we actually do have control. We just are so far removed from exercising it that it seems alien to us.
Yep. But I was actually telling Becky earlier, a little while ago when she had Judge Reed on Saturday, I listened to the show today, and he came up with a great idea. When he was talking about, why can't everybody get together the last Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock, Central Time, whatever time it is. It doesn't have to be Central, but Central Time, your local time. Everybody get together on your state capitals, on the steps of your state capitol. Get together and, get a little meeting going. Go out and hand out flyers. Tell everybody, hey, we're going to be doing these meetings on the Capitol, at 7 o'clock, and, this is what it's going to be about or whatever, and put the flyers together. Go out and talk to people. Get people involved. Stuff like that. I mean, I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's an excellent idea. Why don't more people do that?
Well, it is an actionable idea, and all actionable ideas are positive and necessary, and they're good ideas. And that's kind of why I've been concentrating on Patriot unification stuff, because, no matter what words we use and say and what stands we take, having some strength and power behind whatever it is we're asking for or demanding will have some validity and some weight. So with the Patriot unification, we get that. But what we also get are more numbers combined together so that when a good idea that's usable and workable, like this particular one, comes along, you have more people who are already united. And within that whole mass of people, you have whatever the given number are within this whole number of us that say, yeah, that's an approach that I like and that I'm going to take. And you have more people participating in that. There's so many good, valid, worthy approaches that we could take that are still within the realm of peaceful and lawful, that the numbers would be important for them to be effective. But most importantly, for them to be regarded, we need that strength. We need the power behind us. Or it's just not going to have the ultimate effect that we want it to have.
Right.
Right. So I would like to see these things happen, but I would like to see the weight and the strength behind it, so that we're not just a bunch of talking people, willing to go out somewhere and state a grievance and then walk back and do our daily thing. So, we got through that. Business as usual again.
See, that's the thing that drives me nuts is people, that's all that they're doing, talking. Let's stop talking. Let's start participating. Let's start doing something. And I'm not talking about the people that call the show, okay? I'm talking about the American public. We have too many people in the American public that, I this, I that, I can do this, I can do that, I'm this, I'm that. Well, you talk about it well enough, but please show me. I want somebody for once to be able to, do something and show me that they know how to do it compared to talking about doing it. And, be a leader. There's too many followers out there that are waiting for somebody to make a move before they're actually willing to make a move themselves. And it's sad. It's very sad. We need to be more proactive, okay? We need to, get more people involved. We need to react more. We need to be leaders of our environments and stand up and show other people the light. I know a lot of people say you can't just do that. It's not that easy to do. I understand that. We all know that. That's why we are in the situation that we are right now. Because, all these people, you got to grab them by the hand and lead them and say, this is how you do this. Okay, and if you don't do that, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
And if you don't do that, then they're just going to sit there and say, well, nobody showed me the way. Nobody told me what I had to do to make a difference in this world.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a good number of people who were like that. And the thing or the place I guess that I've kind of come to is not being as frustrated by them now, understanding, because, I've run some companies in the past, and the majority of the bulk of the companies under me that I had run were filled with people like that. But given the proper course and effective action, they were vital and hugely participant in the results and the successes of the company. And that's just the nature of things. Some people lead a great following, but on their own don't necessarily lead a whole course all that well. But I think the responsibility, or the place that I've come to, especially with the unification, is to put so many people who are kind of past that point of frustration with everybody who's not doing something, and combining efforts in their groups, their organizations, depending on how big they are, of actually taking action, but more importantly, creating a base of security, and in combining those people, create a secure, solid, powerful platform that has some strength to it, so that when you get all these other people that could never just lead, but would be excellent at following and participating and supporting, you give them a secure body to come into, and suddenly those people will show some power. And in some cases, some of those people may actually become powerful themselves.
Sure.
Sometimes it takes a pull or even a push for somebody to become that. You know, wasted potential can get washed downstream all the time, but every once in a while, if it gets caught in a pocket and it's properly pushed or pulled, it can become something dynamic. And that's kind of why I want to see this whole thing come together, so that we can allow that opportunity, but not be hampered and held back anymore by those who don't, or those who can't, or those who don't even pay attention anymore. Just get to the point with those who do, have enough basis and strength for ourselves to make a stand, and with that, we've created enough security for everybody else to step into. Even if they're uncomfortable, they're not alone then, and they are in a place that there's some protection provided.
Yep.
So
pretty well said.
I'm just hoping it goes that way. You know, and part of the thing, I've been away for like the last couple of weeks, I know. You know, I've had my trials and tribulations through that. It's just kind of like, you know, I don't propose or profess that I can lead, steer, or guide anything. But I've been, you know, like every once in a while, just like wondering, man, am I worthy enough to even put something out there that somebody else can to do this? You know, it's so big, and that happens to us, especially when we start thinking about all these individual issues instead of the issue that causes them.
Well, here,
and so, you know,
take for instance, I can't even get anybody. Well, I'm not going to say anybody, but I can't even get people to like our page or like us wherever the hell they listen to us or follow us. Or like on iTunes, I've asked people a couple times, hey, can you guys leave a little bit of feedback on us? You know, I mean, if it's good or bad, I don't care, but leave some feedback, you know, and let us know, you know, how we're doing or whatever, or follow us here and there, or like us on, you know, whatever page you listen to us on, and so on and so forth. I can't even get people to do that, but, oh, there's plenty of numbers. You know, here, take for instance on Spreaker, we're killing it on Spreaker. We're doing very well. I mean, we've been in the top 100 for ever since, I don't know, for the last couple months, 3-4 months now. We've been in the top 100. We broke the number 43 one time. I mean, number 43. Yeah, I mean, that's great. But you wouldn't think it, because nobody's liking the page, nobody's liking this, nobody's following, nobody's leaving any kind of feedback or anything, but they're listening. So to me, I guess we're doing our job, because that's what we're here for, is for people to listen. But on the same token, I mean, you know, it's like a little way to give back to us to say, hey, you know, whatever, just some kind of feedback about the show, you know, like the people that listen on iTunes or, you know, anywhere. But I don't know. I'm not gonna push the issue anymore or anything like that. I mean, I ask all the time, hey, you know, do this, you know, if you could like us or you could follow us or whatever, that would be great. And, you know, it doesn't happen. So trying to get people to do a major, you know, move, you know, to try to win our government back and stuff like that, yeah, right.
Well, I think that once we start doing that combined effort where we actually get the result of groups and everybody unifying, we start bringing each other onto each other's days that we speak, our shows. And
right.
we share each other's audiences then. Some have tremendous, gigantic audiences, some have smaller audiences, but regardless, as we go back and forth and amongst each other, our audiences go back and forth and amongst all the rest of us together. And at some point then, you'll probably get that result that you're hoping for and you're looking for, and it'll just come in the natural flow of things getting to where they have to get for us to be able to make a stand and have a point and a place to the whole thing anyway. So you being here, establishing your credibility, going as long as you do, having the listening that you do, already shows that you've established your point and your place, and now it's just a matter of having been legitimately established and on course. You'll just be in the flow of everything when it starts to happen.
Right.
And more people will either combine with you. Some will fall away and cease to exist. The ones that still exist and have been around for a while, like this particular show and you guys, will just get bigger. And then at some point, who knows what it'll become? But hopefully it'll become what's necessary for us to be our own network, for us to have our own mainstream, so to speak, for us to have our own national presence and security, and establish our point and be heard, and to be strong enough to keep from action being taken on us, or to take action if we have to.
See, that's why I broke away from the other group that I was part of before, because I wanted to do, I wanted to have my own, my own brand, my own name. I was under a different name before for a long time called Global Chaos Radio. And, not that I have anything against those guys, because I still talk to them and I'm still friends with them and everything else. But, they were doing something that I didn't really have any interest in doing any longer. And I chose to, start doing my own thing. And I thought it was more important for me to be doing shows like I'm doing right now, instead of doing what they were doing and, just kind of like following along with them. And having to do whatever the hell they wanted me to do. So, this to me was more important, and, I think that it's, it's something a little bit better. Another thing that I want to talk about, one thing I wanted to bring up to everybody, just in case nobody realized it, we have a new logo, and I want to know what everybody thinks about it. We've changed it probably about 4 times in the last couple days, and I think we finally have it just right. So I really, really would like to get some feedback and some information from everybody, what you guys think about it. I think it's actually pretty damn nice, but that's just me. So, if anybody, everybody else wants to let us know, you can go onto the Facebook page, for Rage Against the Regime podcast. Let us know what you think about the new logo. I think that with the little tweaks and adjustments that we did between Becky and I talking about it and saying what we thought would look better, so on and so forth, I think that it's a pretty bold statement that we've made with the Constitution, because the Constitution is right there in the background, and then we put the logo over it, and we've kind of let it be known that this is what we're about, this is what we're here for, and what we stand for. So it's it's right out there in the open. So
why don't I go take a look at it right now? Is it the one that you had on your post yesterday?
Yeah, but we just changed some colors on it, and we changed the colors on it, and then we had some things fixed on it. When I first got it done, the girl that did it had against spelt wrong, and then she had something on one of the stars on the top hat. It had like a little blotch of something, so I actually had that fixed. and I wanted to make sure that the Stars of Texas on the pistol grips showed out a little bit more, and I wanted to make sure that people can see the Constitution in the background, bigger and bolder. So, and then I had her change the colors on the letters for Rage Against the Regime, and I think it looks pretty good now.
Okay, am I looking at with the American flag, and then in the lower corner, Rage Against the Machine, with the skeletal Uncle Sam, the Constitution in the background, the two revolvers? Okay, yeah, I like that. I like
I
it a
think
lot
it looks
more
pretty
than
damn
what you were
good.
using. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good, and I'm going to put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah, why not? Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not a money-making thing. Somebody sent me a message yesterday. They inboxed me, and it's actually somebody that comes on the show. I'm not going to put anybody out in the open, but, it was kind of like, what are you going to try to make money off of what the hell was it? Support. It's kind of like what you're going to try to make money off of your logo or whatever, and it's like, no, I'm not trying to make money off of anything. I'm going to make up shirts and sell them for, and in fact, I'm not even going to have anything to do with it. I'm going to have the shirts made up by that one company or whatever that does the shirts on here. I found a company that told me that they can do the shirts with the screen printing, the this, the that, and everything else. I can get them done for about between $8 and $10 a piece.
Well, I think, Bobby, given the fact that you don't ask for donations, you've never been about that, you don't really need to explain that to anybody who knows you, and anybody who doesn't know you will get to know you soon enough. But I don't think you should be worried about whether you're making a buck or anybody thinks you're making a buck. You certainly can't pay for all this stuff and make it available on your own without having a buck coming back. And besides, if people knew what you were willing to do and are capable of doing, making an extra buck is only going to be enabling you to support some of these other causes, like somebody who needs money to be into Washington or wherever or whatever the need is, or expanding the capacity or capability of something else you're doing for the Patriot movement. I wouldn't be concerned about what people think about whether you're making a buck or not. If you forsake the whole Patriot notion and you were selling us out for the sake of making some buck, that would be different. But not if you're bringing in a buck and you're empowering what we're trying to do here, all of us, and what we're all trying to stand on and for and with, I wouldn't worry about those things. I just wouldn't worry about it.
It just kind of bugged me. I mean, he didn't mean no harm. Okay, it was just kind of like, I think it was kind of a joke in the beginning, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was pissed.
Well, there's some people out there who do definitely resent every time they say that, and they might make jokes about it, but oftentimes they're really not joking. It seems funny, even within the Patriots, there's people out there that want everybody to kind of pay their way for them, and if somebody else is doing anything that's drawing any money at all, they resent it in a sense. Well, as if things should be paid for them, but it's not a personal thing where people like yourself are involved with that. The money that comes in is being utilized what we're all having to deal with here and contend with. It enables you the ability to do this.
I'll tell you for a fact, Bobby, I don't even contribute. He hasn't asked me to, and I'm on the show all the time. He gives me carte blanche. Bobby does this from his heart, but there is a cost factor for him in order to get this out to the public. And anybody that would question that needs to check themselves. You don't have to buy a shirt if you choose not to, but if you do, we'll be more than appreciative that you've done so. Because like you said, just like the business that Ron and I are starting for the training camp, we want to be in a position where we can help fund events that need to be funded, people who are going to be bold enough to walk into the Congressional Mall and speak. We want to help them get there. We want to help them eat while they're there. We want to do things to further this movement to free this nation, and that should never be in question when you have a group of individuals who are busting tail on a regular basis and still maintaining a job and a household and a family. That should never be a question that comes into another patriot's mind, let alone escape their lips concerning, making a T-shirt for those people who might want to support Rage Against the Regime and help keep us on the air and fund some of the patriot movement. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of felt weird and bad, but then as I thought about it, it's like, why the hell, I mean, like Bill said, like you said, I've never asked anybody for a dime.
I bet you that your real feelings are very similar to mine. You were probably, even though, you might not like to say it this way, but, honestly, it's kind of this way, so who cares how you say it. But you probably felt a little bit insulted that somebody didn't, that they questioned your integrity and your sincerity, or that it wasn't evident and clear how you really feel and how devoted and committed you are.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that all the time, especially with my stuff. It's kind of like, hey, I sold everything I own practically to start the ViroGuard, for example, and get from some people, it's kind of like, what am I, a snake oil salesman? The other thing, it's kind of like, well, don't I have anything else that I can sell so that I can give it to them for free?
Wow.
And it just kills me. It used to kill me or bother me a lot. And now it just kind of saddens me a little bit while I carry forward and not worry about it so much anymore. I'm the kind of sucker, though, that when I experience some prosperity, I have a tendency to give away more than I should. But that's just the nature of me, and I'm not going to end who I am so soon.
Hey, Becky, Tom wouldn't happen to have called in yet, right?
Not to my knowledge. Let me check the board.
Nope. He should be he's probably going to be a 330 number.
No.
Well, yeah, see, now that's bad because, today is my son's birthday. Today's my son's birthday, and I'm, I got to go. So, I mean, because we're taking him out to dinner tonight and everything else, and, Tom, he said he was coming, and said that he was going to try to make it the last hour of the show. So, what I would say is, unless he's going to be here in the next couple of minutes, I mean, you could go overtime with them if he comes on, but, I mean, I'm just wondering why he would have told me that, he was going to be here if he's not here. I mean, he did. I know he said he was going to be busy, though, and he had a meeting. So, I mean, I don't know, but he did tell me that next week, it was going to be a short show today, and that next week he was going to do a full show with us for the whole 2 hours.
Okay, good.
So, I mean, I'm going to apologize to everybody right now because it sounds to me like he's still caught up in his meeting and couldn't get out. And I'm going to apologize to everybody and say I'm sorry because, I kind of think that maybe I forced his hand more than he was willing, to go, I guess you could say. And he was trying to give me more than he could. So here we are at a standstill, and, like I said, I'm going to apologize. If he doesn't make it, I think he may make it for a couple minutes. It may not be very long, but I think that Tom will be here. But I actually have to go because it's my son's birthday, and we are taking him out to dinner tonight, and I have a whole big list of things to do before we walk out the door. So with that being said...
Hey, before you run off, Brother Wilbur wanted to interject something. Come on, Wilbur. Tell Bobby.
Yeah, hey, Vic, I've been listening to this money thing. I let it go roll and everything. First off, Bob, don't be ashamed of making money. Two things aggravate me to death. Number one, is when I have in-laws or people, when they know I'm a writer and I've written books, and the first thing out of their mouth is, how much money have you made? Well, that's none of your business, money I make. Yeah. And the other thing is, I try to make a little money on everything I do. When I sell books, I sell books. That's why we have a choice of 3 mansions. Well, we have 4 houses now. My personal acquisition family.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up really bad, brother.
We've got what we got is a paper shredder going.
Oh.
Yeah, we got one of those guys back. Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're gonna do another show tomorrow night. I invite you all to come back with us tomorrow night. I mean, I'm sorry I got to cut it short, but my little man's birthday, and it's a fun. It's a fun situation that I take him out to dinner tonight for his birthday, and that's that. So, but tomorrow night we're going to do a show. I'm not sure what the show is going to be about, but same bat time, same bat channel. All righty, everybody. Okay, well, I as I would say, always, without you, we are nothing, and, love you all, and until next time. So, we will talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Well, that was my sidekick, Bobby, for anybody that just may have come on. We're probably going to wrap it up here before too long. Looks like we've got some NSA company. Y'all say hi to the boys. They're messing with our connection. I'm with you on that, Wilbur, and I'm with you on that, Bill. If there's monetary compensation by way of not asking for the funds, but merely selling your product to fund your effort so that you can continue with that effort to get the information out to the public, it's really nobody's concern but your own.
Right, it doesn't make any difference how much money you make or how you make it. Nobody I know takes a vow of poverty except the priest. I didn't take a vow of poverty. I didn't, Becky, you know all about Jackie. We talked about her at length together. Well, one of the things that I always tell people when I do, like personally talking to them when I have an appearance, the reason I champion her cause against the CPS is not because she was an innocent flower child, but because she was a woman of wealth. She rode in Mercedes. She had breakfast at the country club. She had $100 bills in her jeans. And they rolled over her. What chance does a normal housewife have when they show up at the door?
Yeah.
When you have people like that. But, I make agreements with people all the time. Puffing this book up, trying to sell it. And, I want a bestseller. I like to have a lot of money. I feel good when I've got a lot of money. I'm not a communist. And I'm not above letting everybody know that. So when somebody says, "What are you going to try to do? Make money off of this?" Well, yeah, of course. What's wrong?
It's kind of like the guy who wins the lotto or the lottery, and he gives all of his money away, and suddenly, and it's only a very temporary thing because he spread it out and gave it to everybody. There's no power to do any good cause. Where if he would have taken those earnings and put it behind something he was passionate about that could really help people, there would always be a sum of money that he could help all those other people that got their piece and pissed it away. And
my brother fooled me a few years ago. My brother fooled me. He's in the electrical union down in Austin. Rough, tough, politically incorrect, all that kind of stuff. One day he told me, he said, "You know what I do every month that really makes me feel good?" I said, "What?" He goes, "I send $25 to St. Jude's in Memphis every month, no matter what." I said, "That is perfect." And he said, "No matter what, I look at those little bald-headed kids, and I start down there and I send that money in every month."
Right.
What I do, like right now, we're trying to construct a radio station. I don't know if we're going to get away with it because Joe's health is declining, and we might have to sell the house to liquidate the estate. when he goes at this part of the state. I wanted to construct a radio station and have it with a house that's there where people come down in this area, stay at the house for, say, the weekend, do what we're doing right here, have meetings on this enormous back porch with a swimming pool, have political gatherings, and you've got a complete separate building where they go and do broadcasts. And that was all out of my pocket, every bit of it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Kind of like what Art Bell did in Pahrump, Nevada, way back in the day. You know, his station at his house and guests always there. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to, you know, when the guy, what are you trying to do, Bob? Make money off of this? My answer would be, well, yeah, of course I am. Yeah, of course I am. If I make a couple of, if I'm doing good, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I make a couple of bucks. What is it?
Well, you know, the whole premise of how this nation's always survived with the poor, the sick, the weak, people who have become disabled financially or physically or whatever, the whole way it was tended to all along under the real American spirit is it was by people who were successful, who made a lot of money, major charitable trusts, not the government, not the rest of this crap that sucks money out of everything and just diminishes everything to the point of needing it. It was from successful people, unencumbered and able to generate all the money that they possibly could. And sure, there's going to be some bad apples that are strictly me, and even encroaching upon others. But for the most part, most people are good. And when good people make money, they do powerful, good things for other people.
I saw something today, Bill. I saw something, this study I did with American history. Part of it was the tenements in New York, where the conditions at the turn of the century were atrocious. Nobody could see it. This photographer that worked with a detective, his job was to help take pictures for this detective. He invented flash powder in order to flash to take pictures inside without sunlight. He went up and he took pictures of the people in the tenements and the conditions. The magazines would not run his pictures, nor the newspapers, so he did a slideshow and went around New York City and Long Island showing the rich people, look what's going on. And within 20 years, those rich people had donated enough to get rid of that problem. Right. They were horrified. They'd never seen it. And then no charity, no city, no government, just a bunch of fat cats out on Long Island saying, oh, hell no, we're not going to put up with this.
Right, yeah. And it's worked that way across America. It used to be a pretty normal thing. Used to be. Yeah, it used to be. It's a shame how things have gotten, but you know, those are some of the reasons that we have to get it all back.
Well, I do something routinely, and he's driven my ex-wife crazy. In Austin, you have a homeless person on every corner. You can't stop at a red light; they're not there. And she was always one of those, oh, they're really rich and they're just making money hand over fist. I take a little bit from everything. I take good out of everything. Good. The one thing I picked good out of the way the Muslims talked up here was when you see a poor person, you're supposed to reach in your pocket and give them something. Because God hears his prayer before he hears yours. So I always have an ashtray full of quarters. And when I drive through an intersection, there's a man standing there saying, need food, hungry, dogs hungry, whatever. I'll reach up, grab a few quarters, and throw in his sack. There you go. You know, just something. And, you know, I don't care where he's spending the money. I don't care. You know, he's standing on a street corner. I'm not. Like, I always worry about the poor. The poor, Jesus said the poor you will always have with you. And that's because some people are just going to be poor. Guy that wins the lottery and gives all his money away, he's going to be poor. He's got a poor mindset. You know, Melanie Safka. Remember Brand New Roller Skate song? Way back?
I got a brand new
yeah. She gave a lot of money away. She was a real hippie. Her family had to slap her down. She gave so much money away because she knew all these hippies. And then when she made it, you know, then she was very happy that she could give money away. Fellas, I got somebody at the door, and I'm thinking I got martinis. I'm going to have to bid you good night, and I bet you I'll text you later.
Well, nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Bill, for being there.
Hey, bye, my friend.
Hey,
Bill,
did you see where China It's on another note. I'm going to change subject for a minute. Did you see where China's building a $1.85 billion methanol plant in Louisiana?
No.
Look where they're going to put it. They're going to put it between a high school, 2 churches, and a senior citizen assisted living facility. And it turns
and why
out
are they? The only thing that bothers me about that whole thing is that it's China doing it. What is why that shouldn't be happening right now in America at all. I mean, it's not to say that we don't cooperate with any other nation and we don't do things, but regarding our infrastructure and our energy, we should be taking care of all of that ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. The diplomats are going to move forward with it in July, and they're getting a $9.5 million incentive package from Governor Bobby Jindal's administration. You know, everybody thought Bobby was a good guy. What a bastard. But the company that's doing this from China, they had already been cited for running a plant that caused rising cancer rates, undrinkable water, polluted air, et cetera, with one of these plants in China. So they're just going to move it on over here.
Yeah, see, that's just a shame, though, that something like methane, that they mismanage the resources necessary to even build those things and to generate a facility that could utilize or provide methane, because, and I say this because methane is probably one right now, I mean, until we can step up and make some other energies more readily available, but methane right now, really, as far as a fuel goes, it's one of the absolute cleanest possible fuels you could ever burn. Now, methane, unburned, just escaping in the atmosphere, that's deadly. It's deadly. But methane as a burned fuel, it's the cleanest fuel you could imagine, cleaner than all of those others, and could pretty much replace all of the energy that we use as far as oils and petroleum-based to fuel other energy, including the production of electricity and everything, all of that stuff. Methane, and there's 75,000 years worth of frozen methane on our ocean and a few of our freshwater, deep freshwater sourced lakes and such. So it's not like something we could run out of, and it's not a pollutant. It's a pollutant if it's just put into the atmosphere, but as far as burning as an energy goes, it's as clean as can be.
Well, you would have to ask a couple of questions, and you're correct on that. You have to ask yourself a couple of questions. We have the largest source of fossil fuel and natural fuel right here in America. Why the frig are we given a giant from China? It's my understanding that this company, Yuang Chemical Inc., is a subsidiary of a natural gas giant, Shandong Yuang, formed in 2012 in China. And you know, China, there's a couple of things going on here, in my opinion. One, it's a foothold. It's going to affect what's going on with, it may very well have something to do with what's going on with our gas industry right here in America. We know we've got the largest strike by the union, the Steelworkers Union, across the board. It's affecting at least 10% of our production at 200 different facilities across the nation. But the cost of gas, the cost of barrel of oil, the trade in the IMF, and what's going on with the American dollar being traded on the market for fuel. We know China has rejected it. We know Russia has rejected it. So why the hell would you give them a permit and an incentive to come onto our soil when essentially they've breached a contract from 1973 stating that they're no longer going to trade the U.S. dollar for fuel? You see what I'm saying?
Because the guys making these deals are all corrupted, and that's what I keep getting down to. You got to get these freaking folks out. We have, the point is that while we're still using these, and you know, calling them fossil fuels is appropriate because compared to the technologies that we have available to use today, they're fossil in many different ways. They're just kind of archaic. We don't need to even use them. But if we're going to, we have enough here to take care of it for ourselves and to utilize it for ourselves, which we should do. We should just break away from everybody else's, whatever their commitments are and whatever their trade is on that, and keep it for ourselves. People will be affected by and recognize the vacuum of us tending to ourselves instead of tending to everyone else. Additionally, I mean, there's a difference between the type of gas that's usually mined when they're drilling for oil and all of that, and pure methane gas technology. There are some differences there. And methane is definitely something to look into, but to allow any other country to get involved with something so important to our nation, especially when it comes to contract dollars, the spending for the society, the jobs, all of that. It's something that we need to keep amongst and within the people here right now. But we really got to get rid of these guys that have already compromised us into the position that we're in, to where they're trying to pay back these favors by giving our resources and the control of them up to others. I don't trust it. It's bull. Even the materials that they use to make these facilities, they're not adequate for proper secure storage. I mean, you get hit with a major earthquake. Somebody wants to try to sabotage it with explosives or other ways, even terroristic types of fracking where they can cause fractures and, cause a facility to crumble or lose stability. You can't have that with certain things like raw methane storage, and especially nuclear power plants, which, even if we get rid of using them, we have to sit around with their aftermath until we can come up with the time and the technology to clean them away entirely. But, even our building resources are limited to what they leave us with. What's left of our steel industry and the different concrete and the other petroleum building materials. They won't allow hemp and other hemp products, which is thousands of the cost and 200 times the strength, and there's just so many different advantages. So we're never going to be able to be the nation that we can to control our own technologies and to be far superior in the provision of them from every other nation until we get rid of these whores who have sold us to all these other nations that they're bringing in to go ahead and reap the benefits of providing it to us.
Yeah, that's true. It really does. I mean, and I believe that forming this coalition amongst your community together at the court step, these are some of the things that we can address. I mean, the saddest part, I can't even say the saddest part, but the most inhumane part of this plant being put in the geographically where they're putting it is this is a predominantly impoverished black neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I hate to, bring up a color. I really do. But we see largely across the board that they target these impoverished neighborhoods when they're changing zoning and in order to fill their pockets, and it puts the lives of others in jeopardy. I mean, the mere fact that this is a company that had already been cited for violations with a plant of this kind in China tells you that they care less about, because it's my understanding that China has some very strict regulations. And if they will violate their own soil and their own people, their regulations aren't quite as strict as people in power over here pretend that ours are. They're strict if you're outside of their boys' club. Like for the average guy right.
to do something, they'll put so many regulations, restrictions, and licensing and everything on you that it's almost impossible to function. While their primary partners can get away with anything. But they're less stringent in China. But the point is that we should be taking care of this ourselves regardless. If we as a nation can provide something to ourselves, we should, especially when you have too many people without any employment and the means to take care of themselves. It's because it's been given away. You give all of our employment opportunities to a country that you're going to allow to come in here and take more jobs still. What the hell kind of sense is in that?
Well, the way that they present it, they wrap it in a package and they act like it's something good when in fact it's anything but. I mean, it is.
Well, but there are enough of us out here who know the facts of what they do and try to do. It just doesn't fly anymore. It's just ridiculous. It's just, and if we want to prevent what little dangers may be in some things or great dangers in other things, we need to do it ourselves and not afford it to somebody else. It takes the prosperity and the safety out of the whole equation. It can't happen like that. It's ridiculous.
I agree. And endanger the lives of any human being, regardless of if they're wealthy, poor, black, white, or otherwise, with intention, at the same time taking away from our capabilities to thrive and provide for ourselves and create industry that would be beneficial to the common community or U.S. citizens is asinine. It's ridiculous.
Well, we should actually be standing up and saying, no, that's not going to happen. If we want something like this, we're going to have American companies come in and make a stab or a bid on it to do it for ourselves. And a bid should be determined about the entire aspect of cost and benefit. See, if it just somebody comes in to bid a job on something and it's a little bit lower than somebody else, but all of the prosperity is elsewhere, well, then what's the real balance of that? Somebody might come in, a fully American company that's not quite up to gear to do it as cheaply in the production, perhaps, unless they're allowed to use their own materials instead of limited by what we're limited to. But all of the benefits and prosperity stay here. If you look at it then, well, that's obviously by far the best bid. Allowing somebody to come in and do something for less money that comes out of a pocket when nothing comes back from it, that's not a good deal.
Yeah.
When everything stays and comes back, regardless of what you put out of your pocket, especially if it's a lasting something, well, there's a deal that you have that you can consider. The only way that's going to happen is if it's American-born and American-established and American-set for our country right now.
Right.
The international corporations, they instrumentalize all the profits of a company, and they all go away anyway. They take the jobs and they bid them overseas. Then they take the prosperity of the corporation and they go to stockholders, most of them international or bankers, so it doesn't come back to anybody here except for a few high-ranking officers. They're just taking everything out of our country for some services that they provide, maybe some products. But we have a whole bunch of companies that people could form and people could be employed under that could do the same damn thing. Except that you could know the guy that you're doing business with by first name.
It's irritating, brother, and we've seen this across the board. And if they're not doing that, then they're farming it out. They're farming out industry across the globe and taking it out of America for the purpose of avoiding the taxation that they suffer here. So, I mean, we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. First of all, we need to shut the illegal extortionists down, the IRS and the shadow government, the illegal corporation. We need to go in and just beat the shit out of these men. We need to take them and remove them completely from the equation.
That's what the restoration
number one. Yeah. We need to eliminate the extortion, and that'll be a huge. That would be a huge victory for the common man, let alone industrial. Owners.
Well, that's
of
what
businesses.
the Patriot Unification will do. It'll give us enough weight, force, and power behind our words when we redress that they either have to listen and withdraw themselves, whether they do it by individual numbers or as a whole, or we then would have to do it ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really crooked entities within that loop. I mean, the IRS is just one of them. But we definitely need to step up. We need to step it up a notch, and we've got little time to get this done in. We don't have the luxury of 3 or 4 years or going through another administration. That's not even an option, in my opinion.
Well, Yeah, I keep saying, though, what difference does it make what driver you put in the seat of a remote control vehicle?
Correct.
This driver in that seat. Well, you know, you can put his hands on the wheel and his feet on the pedals, but that car's driven by remote control. So do you want to resolve and remove the remote controls from the vehicle and then put a driver in? Or do you just want to keep throwing a bunch of drivers in thinking that, I can get behind this guy while that car's driven otherwise anyway?
Right.
And besides, any of those guys who aren't coming out and making the claims that we are, they aren't calling out the crimes, I mean literally, and calling out the individuals about all these wrongdoings. If they're not actually doing that, or they're talking about like making issues that are in the wrong already, making them better, well then they're actually part of the problem, and they shouldn't be. You shouldn't be fooled by these people. Oh, that guy sounds the most patriotic. He's saying all the right things. Yeah, but he's not calling out the crime that the government that he wants to be in is in the first place. He's not talking about the violation. He's talking about negotiating a complete constitutional crisis rather than resolving it.
Right.
And that's what we're up against.
At the end of the day, we're either going to fix it or we're going to crumble. And I believe that what you and Bill have got your fingers in and are working on, the coalition that you're building, you know, you were talking about a group of brass individuals that y'all are working with to form that coalition with. I, too, am working with a group called SOS who are retired military. And one of their people reached out to me yesterday, and I spoke on the phone with her for a little more than an hour and a half. And we're going to help them get their show up and running and get some production done for them. And then, in turn, they're going to be a group that we're going to ask to support what we have decided to call our training island is BOSS, and those are acronyms that are indicative of what we are intending to provide for folks on the island as far as training goes. But, you know, if we don't establish these coalitions with one another and start reaching out to some higher-ranking individuals that have certainly more knowledge about logistics and the other things that have gone on in certain areas of government and our military, we're not going to be successful. I mean, there's so many levels that we have to dismantle. We have to make sure that we reach out to individuals that can help us in certain areas. So we are forming a coalition with our training camp. I think I told you about it. We are only hiring veterans, and if we hire the newly just discharged, fresh out, they will get additional supplement from the government for being employed. So that's a plus and a win-win situation.
Yeah, you know what I'm hoping with some of these generals that we're going to be talking further with is that, and some of them have been seen on mainstream media by all of us. I mean, it's like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. Yeah, that's who it is. Given the fact that the last couple of days there have been some releases of information regarding Benghazi, you know, obviously Libya and Syria, all of that, with regard to Clinton and the administration and all these other things that were going on that they tried to keep secret, including settlements and arrangements that would have avoided the conflicts altogether, and many other things involved with that, including the arms trades, 15,000 missing rockets. Just, there's a lot of things involved. But given the fact that some of this information is coming out, some of these generals that have in-depth information, I mean, damning information on this administration. I'm hoping now at this particular point, since some of it's been made spoken of on the news, that they would be willing to talk about it in the open rather than just in private, and let some of that stuff be shared with people, because these are the kinds of things that take people on the fence that don't want to jump, or it's just like they still leave that little bit of deniability to where they just can't step away from or against the government, or they can't believe that, oh, no, they really are doing this. This is the kind of information where it's like, you're left with no choice but to not be willing to tolerate it any longer. Or you have to realize, oh my God, this is how bad these people pretending to be our government really are. This is what's actually going on. And then when you look at that, what's happened is bad enough, but then you see the kind of things that they're trying to throw us into and what they want to move forward on making happen, whether we accept it here with an invasion or to do it as a major act of war with other countries, there's no way it can be tolerated. And that's why I wanted to get this thing going, get these generals in place and get the unification together, because if we have to suddenly defend ourselves on our own ground, we have a bit of an organization. We're unified to a point to where we can communicate together. Even if everybody uses their independence, we can coordinate with one another. And if it becomes something bigger, we have qualified, true leaders who have been in large arenas who can help facilitate these things.
Right.
So, because we're kind of there.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about what you guys are doing. I can't wait to learn more about it as it comes together. If there's anything I can do to be of assistance, I certainly want to step up to the plate and do that.
Can you imagine how busy your island will get then?
Oh yeah, well we've already got the endorsement of the Texas 3%ers, and that's a huge group.
Right.
We've reached out to a couple other groups. We've got some sponsorships already in place. We have Ron is working diligently on getting through some sponsorship donations to help create the course. Any costs that might be incurred for materials that we might need to get them to donate materials and things like that. And it's going really well. We've got our board in place. We've picked our name. We're going next week to file the LLC. We're actually projecting to have this open and have customer base by the 15th of March. So we're moving right along. We've got our ducks in a row to file as a nonprofit organization so that we can give back to the Patriot community and the homeless vets and some of the other people out here that really need help that the government is, with purpose, trying to destroy. So we're excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
I am too.
And
you can.
The plus side, brother, is that in this training, not only is it going to help improve their own personal lifestyle and the pride in which they take in themselves, because they can reassure themselves they can handle any situation. They're going to become more physically fit. They're going to have field medic training. They can, in a real-life situation, they'll be able to assist if they come on a car wreck or they have someone fall ill with a heart attack or, snake bite. I mean, we're going to cover everything a field medic would cover in the field. We're going to cover those issues. And they can save lives even in their everyday life, not just in the hit-and situation. So, there's a lot of things that will be going on, hand-to-hand combat with disarmament. Women get raped every day. Men get assaulted every day. Road rage, robbery, you name it. So these are things that are going to give them the capability to address should the situation come up in a real-life situation.
Well, it'll be nice also when we start seeing more of these groups come together with your people actually being able to farm out branches of your school elsewhere, but also to have people from the community preparedness team send representatives in to get some of that training from you, or have your people go into them and give some of that training, and then they can pass off what they learn to the rest of their community or the different teams within their community, and it can all branch and spread from there.
Absolutely, and this isn't be something that they can come and, stay at a hotel. You're going to be on 28 miles of secluded island with limited structures, so there will be no hotel, if you will, accommodations for anybody. We're going to be out in the elements. You're going to sleep, eat, go to the bathroom, in honey pots.
Yeah, that could be dangerous for a guy like me running around with knee-high moccasins, a loincloth, screaming like a banshee.
Well, I told Ron today, I was like, Ron, you need to get us one of those naked beach permits.
Right.
started laughing. He said that could be a challenge for the men. I said it sure could, and an obstacle course that might hurt. But
right.
I mean, it's going to be
that's why I kept the loincloth in on mine.
There you go. There you go. Some duct tape ought to fix that. We've got to. Yeah, exactly. We're going to be teaching scuba, recon. We're going to be teaching long-range shooting with high-caliber munitions, and I mean, hell, we can do anything we want to do on that beach, and we've got our ducks in a row to have our insurance and be covered, and in the event that, God forbid, somebody should get hurt. But at the end of the day, we're getting all the ducks in a row, and this is not, across the board what we've seen, Bill, is FTX camps have failed miserably to a large degree. You do have some folks that are out there that for a fee will come in and train their people. The problem is a 3-day or a 2-day event is not going to make you proficient in any given. And so with our program, you can pick and choose, if you will, from a menu, and at the end of the course, you will get you have to graduate. There'll be a test out. You have to graduate, at which point we'll give you the patch that you actually accomplished and completed that course at a level of proficiency. And you can wear that with pride and know full well that, what if you're out, you're out somewhere, you get stranded on your boat, and all of a sudden you wind up on a little piece of land somewhere and you got to wait for somebody to find you. You know how to purify salt water if there's no fresh water available. You know how to do reverse osmosis. You know how to skin a hog or gut a fowl without contaminating the meat. I mean, all those things that you're supposed to be learning at FTX, instead of doing 8 hours of work and it takes you 2.5 days to get that accomplished, and you can't focus on one thing for too long. So, they're retaining 10% of what you're teaching them. About the best thing they can do when they leave is they know how to load and unload their weapon, possibly clean it, and boil water, maybe make a little trap or something, but they're not proficient in what they're being trained in. And it may be a month down the line before somebody pulls together FTX. You're not all working together as a group because most of the people at the next FTX weren't at the first FTX, so nobody's on the same page. We're going to limit that. We're going to go ahead and give you rigorous training by military-grade training by military vets who are accomplished in the field that they can help you become proficient in, and will know that you are at the end of the day because you will be graded on it. And so there's a lot of pride in that for an individual, but they can impart that. They can take it out of the camp and actually be qualified enough in their proficiency to be able to go to their family and impart that information and teach them.
Right, yeah.
And across the board, if we're all on the same page, we have a standing army, if you will, at the end of the day. If we make this big enough, we can create soldiers.
Well, that's what the unification is going to do, because it's going to take however many hundreds or thousands of different organizations and have them in touch with one another.
Yes. And this is going to be good.
And that'll give you a big...
We'll be good, brother. It'll be good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get rolling here pretty quick. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do too. I got to go, but listen, you and I'll get together and we have a special little program for folks who do stuff with us and we do stuff for them, you know what I'm saying? Where we'll offer those things to the heads like yourself and Bill Bohart to be able to come to the island, and in exchange for the coalition and provisions we give one another, it'll be free of cost to you. So
we'll have to do shows there, and we'll have to do some of them depending on the backdrop, because you don't want to reveal everything. That could even be video launched.
Absolutely, and that's great advertisement. And anything that we can do for y'all, we certainly want to do it for you, and anything that you can do for us. If we use the barter system to the best of our abilities, So it's a win-win situation for everybody in the community. It doesn't matter if we're doing it with you or you're doing it with someone else. Anytime that you can barter without being out of pocket is always the best road to take.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a question before I get rolling. Are you guys experiencing, or what are you being told or hearing about measles in your state of Texas? Is it like a nothing situation?
We've got a breakout in Fort Worth, and
because I know you've had them actually. I know you've actually probably had them for quite a long time because of the border crossing.
Yeah,
in fact, I suspect that Floyd was probably one of the first people that actually came down hard with it. Remember I told you about the rash that he had with he felt like he was dying?
Oh, yeah, Floyd, yeah.
Yeah. I had to wait a few days for...
Is Floyd's wife sick?
Floyd's not married.
Oh, okay. Wrong Floyd. I was thinking, who are you talking about? I think I'm talking about Floyd Frost, maybe?
No, I was talking about Brashears.
Oh, Brashears, yeah, when he got real sick and you said he got van.
Yeah, and he took that Viragard. The thing is, I waited a few days for the doctor, with all of the stuff that was happening, I waited for the doctor to get back and make some confirmations before I started posting claims. And apparently this measles outbreak that we're having mostly here in California, obviously I knew that you guys have been having it there for a longer period of time because of what had to come across the border, but that it's more easily affected against this measles outbreak than some of these other viruses we're dealing with, especially the respiratory viruses. So I was pretty happy to hear about that. I mean, either to keep you from getting it, or if you get it, to be able to get over it in 3 days without it turning into some really nasty problem. The problem mostly with it is how contagious it is, because it's brutally contagious.
Well, they they actually reported on the media today, on the news, that we do have some cases in Fort Worth, and we do have some cases in Dallas. And then I know that Florida has an outbreak, and they're trying to say that it came out of Disney.
Did they also increase the reporting and broadcasting on the vaccines, of course?
Oh yeah, naturally.
Yeah. See, I know they're doing that. Well, the Viragard will take care of the damn measles, and you don't need the damn vaccine for the rest of that crap. And it'll actually get rid of it without the possibility of creating an infection or causing other problems. You'll get health benefits and you'll get rid of the damn measles.
Let me ask you a question then. Can you give me some flyer information so that I can start marketing down here, or do you have that capability with supply right now?
The capability with supply, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you were to get a bunch of orders out of Texas, would you be able to cover the demand?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
And if the demand ran ahead of my funds to stock it, it would just be a matter of having like a 2 or 3 day wait instead of the same day shipment for it to catch back up again.
Well, why don't
because once it starts rolling, I can divert all the attention only to that.
Well, give me the most efficient piece of literature that you have, and I am going to creatively market that down here for you. Seriously. I mean, if it's going to help with the meat, I definitely want to get that information out, especially to the elderly and the school-age children. You know, I really want to smack dab them hard with it because, as you well know, their immune systems are probably, the children are going to be more easily exposed, but the elderly, they don't recover like, a 20-year-old would.
No. Right.
You know, so if you'll give me the most proficient piece of literature for marketing, that you have available to you, I will definitely put some effort into doing that.
All right.
All right.
You can look at my Facebook page in the meanwhile, but I'll either call you later tonight or I'll call you tomorrow and prepare to transfer some documents to your email.
All right. Sounds like a winner to me. Listen, I appreciate you coming on to the show today. I love you with all my heart. Don't quit me no more, buddy. I stalked my boyfriend.
What?
I stalked my boyfriend. I stalked my boyfriend.
Oh, well, I'll be looking for you then.
I know. You know you're my male crush. So
I hope
be
so.
Quitting on me anymore. Don't you be quitting on me. I love you, brother. Listen, if there's anything I can do, please extend that invitation to me, and I'll see what I can do for you in any area, okay?
All right, sweetie. You take care.
All right. You have a blessed night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. This is Becky Williams with Rage Against the Regime. The hours have passed, and it's time to end this episode. We will have a show tomorrow at the same time, 4:30 p.m. I'm not quite sure if we're going to have Tom Lipshew on or not. I haven't had confirmation from Bobby, but Tom did send his apologies. He was tied up today, and that was via Bobby after he disconnected from the show. So for my listeners out there, I want to thank you. I want you to have a blessed night. Come back and join us tomorrow, and I'm going to ask you to bring at least one of your friends along the way and introduce them to the show if they've never come on. We will have open lines tomorrow for any questions or concerns and any information that you feel you need to impart to the Patriot community. Until tomorrow at 4:30 p.m., this is Becky True Stinger Williams, and this is Good Night.